September. We're live on Radio 4 with Broadcasting House. We're going to look ahead to the Grenfell report this week. Residents in high-rise buildings still live in fear of fire, we've been told. Families who escaped the latest burning building and others watching around the news around the UK have been speaking to us. Around 100 people escaped with their lives last Monday as flames took hold of a 7-storey building where cladding was being removed in East London. Families told us barking dogs beat working fire alarms and key exit doors were padlocked. The exact cause of the fire is still unknown. Standing by live, a senior fire officer. First, here's my own report from the scene. It was in the middle of the night last Monday. Flames lit up the sky here in East London. This 7-storey building in front of me, now wrecked, was soon full of people trying to get out, waking their neighbours, finding some exits locked. At the emergency centre, resident Kasha showed me a video on her phone she filmed as she escaped. Her husband is shouting, "There's a padlock on the exit."
He showed we can go outside from fire door because fire door is closed. So we need to just jump from some different gate.
You saved your life.
Oh, my dog he saved me life because it's barking in the home. That's why I know it's something is wrong outside because I'm no see fire and it's no alarm.
Fires in blocks like this one are meant to be contained. It's clear that that didn't happen, as I heard from local resident Adetoni.
About 3 a.m. my son was the one who actually woke me up, and we could see definitely that the fire was massive. It was definitely massive.
More than 200 firefighters were soon at the scene. Flames burned for hours before the word came all residents were accounted for. It was a successful evacuation, but local people feel it's all too close to call.
My name is Lukasz Kurek. The closest escape doors was shut with a padlock. We couldn't leave the building, so we have to go all the way down to the main entrance in the smoke. We are all right, but when we were leaving the building, we couldn't breathe normally, so we inhaled some smoke.
But you've lost everything?
Yeah, we lost everything. We have lost our wedding dress.
Is this your own wedding?
Yeah, it's our own wedding, yes. 2 days ago, we were sure that it's not going to happen, but people donated us, so we got a new wedding dress, so we will be able to go ahead with our wedding.
Do you think there are questions for everyone in high-rise buildings, all the lawmakers?
Yeah, definitely. That thing shouldn't happen. There could be many lives lost. It was close, it was very close.
The building here, with commercial units on the ground floor, is privately owned, managed by a firm called Block Management. Construction work was underway here. It's one of 1,300 buildings in London alone with known fire safety issues. A contractor who posted on Facebook said non-compliant cladding was being removed at the time of the fire. That's 7 years after Grenfell. Giles Grover from End Our Cladding Scandal says thousands of people are living in blocks with different hazards, addressed in different ways by different firms with different responsibilities.
The building safety crisis is just massively complicated, really. And the problem is that the government's approach to fixing it just adds several layers of complexity. The timeline of this, if you will, is that for the first 2 years after the Grenfell Tower fire, the government just kept saying, building owners, developers, they'll do the right thing. Well, without any legislation, they'll just focus on mitigating their own liability and covering their backsides. Then we had Michael Gove, who came in September 2021, who was essentially tasked to find a comprehensive solution that would deliver an end to this crisis. He gave it a go, but I'm afraid the solution, inverted commas, is just too complicated. There's too many people ruled out of help. There's too many agencies and parties involved. You've got freeholders, head leaseholders, housing associations, and then you've got the people, the leaseholders and the residents, who are always an afterthought, and we're just at the bottom of the chain. Dagenham's just, Keir Starmer's first warning, really. The problem is everyone's just arguing with each other, and we're just not really making any progress whatsoever. And we're just seeing more and more buildings being identified as unsafe, more and more people who are just trapped in this crisis. There's no oversight of these buildings. There's no deadlines in place. There's no real penalties for all the delays and prevarications that we're seeing on the ground. And as we're in the middle, we're the ones just sitting in our flats, in our homes, not able to get any answers from anyone, and just being told, oh, don't worry, the local regulator will do this. Oh, your developer might do that. Your freeholder will come along and do this. But we're just sat here.
Back at the scene, the fire in this building is still under a complex investigation. This is as close as I can get. There's a police tape holding us back, a fire engine ahead, still connected to a standpipe, a large fire hose. But this fire has sent out a screeching alarm, not just to tens of thousands of people who live in high-rise buildings, but to the industry and lawmakers alike, all on the eve of the report into Grenfell. Some voices that I heard this weekend. Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, has said, "This is mission critical for me. I will end the foot dragging we have seen since Grenfell." Let's turn to Matt Wrack. He is the General Secretary of the Fire Brigades Union. Matt, welcome to BH.
Good morning, hi.
I wonder if we should just start with two questions. Firstly, your people run into danger, and you must feel that the evacuation in Dagenham is a miracle, listening to that. Fire doors blocked, dogs barking instead of alarms.
Yeah, I attended the scene on the Tuesday, the same day that Angela Rayner attended. I had the privilege of speaking to the first crew who attended, and yeah, I think they performed wonders. They got there very quickly. Interestingly, of the two main fire engines at Dagenham, one of them wasn't available due to shortages. But they got to work very quickly, and they managed miraculously to get everybody out without loss of life. And that's only due to their professionalism and determination to do so. So, yeah, huge sympathy for the firefighters.
To you listening, I have a statement to give you from the block management company before we end this item. Can I ask you, how many people do you think in the UK are living in buildings with fire safety concerns, high-rise buildings?
That's very hard to estimate. We have some figures for England. So people living in blocks above 11 metres, there are about 2.3 million dwellings. That's not actually the blocks, but the dwellings, and about 4.2 million people living in blocks above 11 metres. Of those, there are the English Westminster government has identified 4,600 buildings above 11 metres with cladding risks. That's not all, as your last interview pointed out, that's not the only fire safety defect. There are other fire safety defects in those and other buildings. So this affects tens of thousands of people.
You're saying 4 million people are living in buildings above 11 metres. All of them,
in England.
All of them will have concerns about fire safety.
All of them will have concerns. In some cases, those concerns may have been satisfied. So we're aware that 29 of ACM cladding concerns, 29% of remediation has been completed, but 50% hasn't even been started.
So possibly 2 million people.
No, the
dwellings.
Right. There's a difference between the number of people living in high-rise buildings and the number of identified cladding risks.
Steph Pike is listening in Bristol. She saw scaffolding go outside her flat to get remediation works underway.
I am nervous about the fire risk. I don't have any confidence or trust in the construction industry anymore. You know, I bought the flat. It said it was compliant with building regulations. I asked about fire safety because it was just after Grenfell. I was told it was all fine. And of course it wasn't. So how can I trust that it's been done properly this time? I can't.
What do you think of this 7 years on from Grenfell?
I think it's a national scandal. The scale of the building safety crisis is a national scandal in itself. And then people like your interview there, Steph, we have worked with campaigners, particularly around both tenants and leaseholders. So leaseholders trying to get on the so-called property ladder who are now trapped in buildings that they can't sell because of safety concerns.
Can I ask you, when you say a national scandal, which I have heard the FBU say before, does that two-word phrase mean people are living at risk?
I think the Dagenham, we have been very cautious about saying that because I don't want to alarm people. But then a week before the Grenfell Tower report comes out, we have this horrific fire in Dagenham, which I think confirms that people are justified in having those fears and that the pace of change is appallingly slow. It is a national disgrace. It's staggering that 7 years on we are still in this situation.
I looked people in the eye who told me a barking dog saved their life because the alarm wasn't working and the exit was padlocked in Dagenham.
And my description of that building is it is a building where the issue of safety has been completely ignored. I don't know the full facts of all the details
No,
of
but
the failings.
can you tell us what you make of the fact that Radio 4 listeners are being told that a barking dog in 2024, 7 years after Grenfell, a barking dog saved a family I spoke to?
That is absolutely staggering and horrific. And it should not be happening.
Are you braced for criticism of fire crews? I've begun the interview by praising your fire crews. I'm not casting judgment, but we know that phase 1 of the report did say that the London Fire Brigade had made mistakes. Are you braced for more criticism of fire crews this week?
I think we have to differentiate between the institution, the London Fire Brigade and other fire services, and the firefighters on the front line on the night. And for me, they're two very different things. There are undoubtedly failings in the fire service that chief fire officers have gone along with deregulation for too long and with the fragmentation of the fire service. The fire crews, in my view, both at Dagenham and at Grenfell, actually performed in an impossible situation and actually worked wonders. The stories I heard from Grenfell with my own experience as a former firefighter and as a union official are absolutely remarkable stories of a determination, bravery in a situation of a fire that they were told and trained could not happen.
Yeah, Matt, the first phase of the inquiry said that the stay put advice was changed too late.
Mm-hmm. The point for us about planning for risk and planning for emergency incidents is you can't do it on the night. You have to plan in advance. There were plenty of warnings. In 1999, a fire took place in Greenock in Scotland where an individual died. We made a warning in the House of Commons later that year of the risks of cladding systems and the risk that cladding may cause a fire to spread up the outside of a building. That warning was ignored. We gave warnings after a fire in Stevenage about stay put and the need to review stay put. Those warnings were ignored. So warnings have been made and they have been ignored.
Okay. This is a busy week. Much to say. Thank you for raising some of the issues with us and coming into the programme on a Sunday. Matt, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much.
Some statements for you. I mentioned that I had a statement from you about the building managers. They say that they are looking into the complex investigation and working with investigators. One other matter that comes up at this time, it's from the report in the first instance into the inquiry. It said that the Grenfell fire occurred without any fault on the part of the tenant. I am pleased, said the chair, to clear him of any blame, given that some people have unfairly accused him of having some responsibility for what happened. That's one of the things that's often unsaid.